only thing we have to fear is
in war,
fear itself.
there is no substitute for victory.
Let us never negotiate out of fear.
We stand undivided, forever united, fighting hand in hand for the liberty we burn, for glory and honor, for our sons and daughters, ever mindful of the lessons we've learned. Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome to the intersection of faith and politics. This is WallBuilders Live. Thank you for joining us today. Visit us online at wallbuilders.com and wallbuilderslive.com. And appreciate you being with us today. We're going to have a fun guest later in the program. But David, I kind of feel like we're going to do this the normal radio route. We got a little bit of news we got to just read to folks today because it's one of these that's just kind of hard to believe.
Yeah. Here's a news story. Let me just read this news clip. This is the way the story begins. It says, meet Chico and Debbie Jimenez, a middle-aged couple and dangerous criminals. Now, if I stop right there, dangerous criminals, what comes to your mind when we talk, when you hear, I mean, you're a lawmaker.
If you're a dangerous criminal, I mean, you must be, violent crime, I would think.
Okay.
Doing something that's, kidnapping.
Common law offenses, so rape, murder, burglary, arson, robbery, the theft, the assault, homicides, all of that is what we consider to be dangerous criminals, right? I mean, these guys we put not in the low-risk federal prisons, the country club prisons. We put these guys up and we lock them away, and that's what we got here. So we're talking about Chico and Debbie Jimenez, a middle-aged couple, and they're dangerous criminals, at least according to the city of Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm still reading here. Their crime? They fed the homeless every Wednesday in Manatee Island Park in Daytona Beach. Last Wednesday, Chico and Debbie, along with 4 of their volunteers, were issued citations for $375 each and were permanently banned from the park. Now, wait a minute. I didn't know you could ban somebody from a city park. They were permanently banned from the park. Officers told the Jimenezes they were not to feed the homeless again in Daytona Beach. The Jimenezes run a Christian ministry called Spreading the Word Without Saying a Word, which believes they are to feed the homeless by the Bible verse Matthew 25:40. The Jimenezes left their jobs a year ago to devote themselves to full-time ministry, feeding the hungry. Imagine that. The Daytona Beach News Journal reports on why the police have cracked down on the Jimenezes. Now, you ready for this?
Well, first I'm trying to figure out who should be insulted more here. The wonderful people that are going to serve and feed the homeless or the homeless. It's like, don't feed the homeless. It's like we're defining them as some, less than human almost. And then for the people that are serving, wait a minute, $2,000 for 6 people, fined $375. We're talking you can fine $2,000 when you're taking your own money and your own time to go help people, and we're going to fine you for it.
Now it gets worse. And now we're going to see why they got fined, the logic behind this. So now we got a government entity fining people for helping the homeless. And here's what the rest of the story says. The citations and trespass warnings against Chico and Debbie Jimenez and their volunteers are part of an increased effort by the police to discourage good Samaritans. Grab that. It is now a criminal offense to be a good Samaritan. To discourage good Samaritans from steering homeless people away from the government agencies set up to provide the same services. It's a competition thing. It's a non-competition clause. It's part of the city's and county's broader effort to eventually centralize homeless services. Here's what the police chief said. Police Chief Mike Chitwood said Thursday, the ordinance is there. So if we catch you, we're going to cite you. If you want to feed people and if you want to do a good Christian act, we encourage you to coordinate with social service agencies. Wait a minute.
Oh, come on! Wait
a minute.
Did you just say that if I want to obey the word of God, I got to go coordinate with the government?
Yes. If you want to be a good Samaritan, and the police chief says this, quote, if you want to feed people and if you want to do a good Christian act, we encourage you to coordinate with social service agencies. End quote. Wait a minute.
Oh, that just turns my stomach.
Wait a minute. So there you have it. The government doesn't want private citizens providing free services to those in need because it lowers the number of people who apply for taxpayer-funded government welfare.
There you go.
There you go.
It's competition.
It's competition, man.
With
we don't want it done.
services.
You guys do it for free. We want to be able to get money for it. It's unbelievable. So this reminded me of something that's going on in Nashville, where there's a great homeless ministry there. Jeff Allen, our good friend, the comedian. I mean, quite a comedian. If you've never seen his stuff or heard his stuff, you need to go to his website and get it. Cheryl and I listen to this stuff periodically just because laughter is a good medicine. And Jeff's the best I know at getting people to laugh. So Jeff Allen from Nashville, Tennessee has got a great perspective on this.
Back in a moment with Jeff Allen right here on WallBuilders Live.
This is David Barton with another moment from America's history. Our founding fathers, despite their common love for America, did not always agree with each other in politics. Such was the case between John and Samuel Adams. John was the leader of the Federalist Party, and Samuel was the leader of the Anti-Federalist Party. Consequently, political disagreements were not unusual between these two. On October the 4th, 1790, Sam wrote John and told him, "Let ministers and philosophers, statesmen and patriots, unite their endeavors to renovate the age by educating their little boys and girls and leading them in the study and practice of the exalted virtues of the Christian system." 2 weeks later, John wrote back and told Samuel that on this issue they both agreed. While these two prominent founding fathers disagreed on much, they both agreed on the importance of educating the next generation in the principles of Christianity.
For more information on God's hand in American history, contact WallBuilders at 1-800-8-REBUILD.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome back to WallBuilders Live with David Barton and Rick Green. Thanks for staying with us. Listen, you've laughed with him, you've watched him, you've seen him in all of the comedy shows and read, hopefully, how he's not only making people laugh and learning the Bible, but also changing the world and touching hearts. And we're going to talk today about a serious topic in helping to feed the homeless and take care of the homeless. Jeff Allen is our guest. Jeff, you're right, bro. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for dropping the charges and letting me come back.
Hey, before we get into our serious topic, tell our listeners at home how they can get a hold of some of your DVDs.
JeffAllenComedy.com on the internet.
JeffAllenComedy.com. Easy link.
Yes, and it's Jeff Allen Comedy. Don't forget that. JeffAllen.com, I believe, is a porn site. I'm not sure.
But not exactly the one we want to send them to today.
And I found out from Mr. Glenn Beck that I think that there's some guy going around, anybody who professes to be a believer, they tried to grab up their name and their sites, and they created these things that were not pleasant for the Christian to see. No, yeah, so it's not just me. I remember there was a Gaither guitar player and a couple other people I knew in the gospel music industry that had that problem.
Crazy.
So, anyway, JeffAllenComedy.com.
All right. JeffAllenComedy.com, that's the website. And, Jeff, Barton's the one that said, we saw this article, this crazy deal where they're literally punishing people for feeding the homeless over in Florida because they haven't kissed the ring of enough government officials. And he said, man, you got to get Jeff on this. Jeff does a great job there in Nashville with, I think do you call it Under the Bridge?
It's the Bridge Ministry, and it's not mine. It's a friend of mine, Candy Christmas, and it's an amazing ministry with the homeless. How did you that up?
Yeah, how did you get involved with it?
Well, I've known Candy. Candy is the gospel singer, and when I was working with the Gaithers on a regular basis, I used to sit with her and have meals in the back, and I bumped into her on an airplane one day and hadn't seen her for a long time. And I said, how you doing? And she said, you're not going to believe this. And she went on to tell her story, which was she was suffering from some depression. She was bedridden and just really not in a good place. And she hears a voice, God's voice says, go feed the homeless. And she says, I've never done anything like this in my life. And what am I going to feed them? And she said the only thing she knew how to cook was jambalaya. So she makes a crock pot full of jambalaya and goes down to the bridge. This is where God told her to go, to the bridge in Nashville. That's where the homeless hang out. And out of the trunk of her car on a Tuesday, she fed a pot full of jambalaya.
Wow.
She's been going there every Tuesday for 10 years now. And it's this pot of jambalaya has turned into a 20,000 plus square foot warehouse. And she provides coats and clothing. And every Tuesday she does a church service under the bridge for the homeless. And here in Nashville, the local churches get involved, and they'll bring their worship teams in, and the local pastors will preach, and always offer an opportunity to accept Christ. And anyway, I'd gone down on a couple of Tuesday nights and helped out and spoke at a couple of her events. And she's one of my heroes. I mean, rain, shine, cold. You know, when I go, it's usually warm like tonight, and, not raining and snowing, but every Tuesday for almost 10 years now.
Bridgeministry.org is...
and it's hard to believe that somebody from the government would come in and try to shut something like that down.
You know, what do you think is causing more and more of these ministries to crop up? I mean, it seems like there is an awakening of applying our faith and applying our Christianity to those that are most in need. For a while there, it got to where we just relied on government to do everything, and I think it took away a lot of that benefit of actually reaching out with our own hands and helping people. But there seems to be a new awakening in that. What do you think's causing that?
I think this is just in my own. I can only speak from my own. There came a point where I was making the money that a lot of money that I thought was a lot of money. By America's standards, it's not, but by my standards, it was a lot. And there was an emptiness to it. So it was like, okay, I got all of this. I'm very comfortable now. And the realization is that being able to help another with the resources God has provided you is an honor. It's an honor and a privilege. It's not a chore. It's a privilege to be in a position to where you could help other people. And I really believe that our generation, I'm almost 60 now. If there was a more selfish generation, I can't think of one. And I talk to my kids, and they've been wanting to do something forever to help people. And I think maybe we're paying a little more attention to the younger people. But like Candy said, there came a point where she was just bedridden. And is this it? And this is the message that I try to speak on as I go around the country, because the bottom in my life was I lived for self. And someone once said, there's no smaller package than a man wrapped up in himself. And I was about as small as you could get. And I think that Christians are waking up to the fact that it's a privilege to be able to help, not only a calling from a command from Christ, but I also believe that it's an honor to be able to help.
Jeff Allen is our guest. JeffAllenComedy.com is the website. Stay with us. Back in a moment with more from Jeff Allen here on WallBuilders Live.
This is David Barton with another moment from America's history. At the time of the American Revolution, numerous other nations also had revolutions, yet 200 years later, America is the only of those nations still under its original form of government. Is this just good luck? Not according to Founding Father Benjamin Rush. He declared, "I do not believe that the Constitution was the offspring of inspiration, but I am as perfectly satisfied that it is as much the work of a divine providence as any of the miracles recorded in the Old and New Testament." George Washington agreed. In fact, he declared, "I should be pained to believe that the United States have forgotten that divine interposition which was so often manifested during our revolution, or that they fail to consider the omnipotence of that God who is alone able to protect them. Our founders acknowledged that our national success had come from God."
For more information on God's hand in American history, contact WallBuilders at 1-800-8-REBUILD.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
We're back. Thanks for staying with us here on WallBuilders Live. Jeff Allen is with us today. JeffAllenComedy.com is the website. We'll have a link today at WallBuildersLive.com to be able to jump over. But, Jeff, we've been talking about helping and serving others. This crazy case out of Florida where a couple was feeding the homeless, fined by the government because they didn't kiss the right ring before they went out and help people. But ignoring that government lunacy, just the idea of us serving. You were saying before the break, just how good it feels to know that you're obeying God's commands and you're actually serving others. And you were specifically talking about even donating. Once you had made some money, being able to donate some of that money to others in need. And it seems like, when you do wake up to that and you begin to give or you begin to go serve, you realize there's really not much you could do with your money or your time that's more rewarding. I mean, you begin to realize it.
I tell people that I came out of a 12-step program, and when you get into a 12-step program, whether you want to believe it or not, it's probably your most self-centered part of your life. Anybody who's ever been addicted to a chemical knows that you live for yourself and the chemical. That's it. Everything else goes to the wayside. And when you get into those programs, they tell you that you need to start serving, whether it's folding up chairs or whether it's making coffee, and I tell people all the time, if you're miserable, this is God's call to you to go reach out and help another person. And I had sponsors that used to tell me to go pick up trash at mini marts. So I'd go around with a bag and I'd pick up trash on those days that I was just at my worst, miserable. I couldn't think of a worse place to be. And my sponsor would go grab a bag and go pick up trash. And I go, I'm not doing that. They would get out there and do it. And then I'd do it. And believe it or not, after 15, 20 minutes of picking up trash, and you're out of yourself and you're doing something. And the hard part is to not brag about it and go tell people.
Wow.
Because that was part of the plan, too, is like you do this on your own. And that's what Jesus said. Don't let the right hand know what the left hand's doing. You give without an acknowledgement. But we chew chemicals in this country like after-dinner mints, and I really believe that a lot of it could be alleviated by just reaching out and helping and getting involved in a ministry that helps others.
You just confirmed that my grandmother was always right, because she would always say, if you're having a pity party, if you're feeling sorry for yourself, go do something for somebody else, and it totally gets you out of that. And I thought it was just an anecdotal kind of family thing that seemed to work. But I mean, the way you just described it really. I mean, even in your case, you weren't even doing it for a specific person. It was just you were serving others.
Yeah, just get out of yourself. Get out of yourself. And wisdom has no time. I mean, that's why wisdom is timeless. And I think we're living in a time right now that I mean, when I read that article about the Florida couple, I had to reread it like 3 different times.
Yeah. I mean, here you have people that are doing exactly what you're suggesting. They're looking for ways to serve others. They're going out and helping those that usually get completely ignored. And the government says, you haven't kissed our ring. You don't have the right. Since when do you have to have a permit to help people in need?
Well, and then on top of that, they do it poorly. There's nothing more efficient than one-on-one serving the homeless.
Yeah, you mean the government does it poorly?
Yeah, the government does it poorly.
Yeah, they waste most of it.
Nothing, Candy Christmas, every Tuesday she walks out, and her opening line is, if no one's told you they love you today, let me be the first.
Wow.
I am here on behalf of my Savior, Jesus Christ, and he loves you as well. I can't imagine anybody from the government slopping. I'm sorry. I just, they get shut down by the ACLU.
Yep.
What better way to greet a person in need than by saying, I love you. I'm here because I love you. And my Lord and Savior loves you as well. And you don't have to be in this position, but I'm going to be here to help you and alleviate some of this. And for them to even try to take that away, it's absolutely criminal. And at some point, the Christian community has to wake up and realize that this pushback started long ago, and you just got to plant your feet and stand firm and go, no, I'm sorry, I'm taking care of the homeless. I'm done. I'm.
What do you say to listeners out there that say, okay, I'm not in Nashville, I can't go volunteer there with the bridge, and Candy, what's a good way to start if you don't know where to go? I mean, I guess just a local church, go to a local church and ask them, what are you doing? And if your church isn't doing anything, find one that is and volunteer for their group.
And if you're really one of these type A's, try to get multiple pastors together because there's a lot of redundant ministries going on.
Yeah.
And if you can get pastors together in a community and say, look, what do you need? What do you need? Well, we need coats. And you got a pastor over here that says, God, we have an abundance of coats, but we need canned food. I really think that one of the things that we've been pushing at our church, and it's growing, is the food bank. We really believe that hard times are coming. We're one of those that believe that you just can't print, $30 trillion in cash.
That's right. That's good. There's got to be a day of reckoning at some point.
Well, there has to be, and I want the place. And it's my desire that the American people turn to the church, and for help, rather than running to the streets and throwing things through windows and grabbing what they can, smashing and grabbing. And I think that starts now. That foundation starts now, with each church, instead of being autonomous when it comes to this, get together. And I know that in Franklin, Tennessee, where I live, there was a meeting every Thursday or every other Thursday of 8 to 10 pastors of pretty large churches. And they talked in terms of, what do you need? What do you see in your church? What do you. So rather than just all of them kind of doing the same thing and it being redundant, they filled each other's needs where they could. And then there was a lot more. It expanded a lot more. They were able to reach a lot more different people.
I see a future talking, in your future, because you just summed it all up. I mean, those that want to go help, it's real simple. 4 words. What do you need? Go start asking that question, right? I mean, that's all you got to do.
Absolutely. And like you said, if your church isn't doing anything, why? And then you'll be the one to start it. And I don't care if it's a small little food bank. That's a start. But and let people know that if you're hurting, and obviously there's other ways. If you're a mechanic, the goods and services that you can. I literally have no skill set. I remember we were building a habitat down the street from our house, and there was a habitat. Somebody donated some land, and I put a tool belt on, and my wife walked over, grabbed the tool belt off me, and she said, "I don't want to live anywhere near a home. You put one nail in." She goes, "Go pick up trash and make people laugh. That's what you do well." So.
That's your job, yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, Jeff, God bless you, brother. I appreciate you sharing with us today, and really want to encourage folks at home to find a place where they can serve like that. And like you said, if there's not one, go to those folks around you in those churches, find out what they need, and you may be that type A person bringing some of them together to get something started. Jeff Allen,
sure.
and by the way, your website again, jeffallencomedy.com. And we'll do a link today at wallbuilderslive.com to make it easy to get over there. Jeff, bless you, brother. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you, guys, man. Have a great day.
You too. Back in a moment with David Barton. The federal government is, without question, out of control in its growth outside of its limited jurisdiction as defined by our founding fathers. The question is, how do we get them back in check? How do we get our government back into its proper jurisdictional responsibilities? Well, some people are proposing a convention of states. It's something found in Article 5 of the Constitution, and I've heard good people on both sides of this. Some talking about how great it would be and how it could help to get the federal government in check. Others saying that it's a bad idea. Well, here at WallBuilders, we look at things from both a historical and a biblical point of view, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to analyze this issue of a convention of states. It's going to take place in a live webinar where you're going to have the opportunity to ask questions. Join us on June 19th, at the evening of June 19th at 8 o'clock Central Time. That's going to be 6 on the West Coast, 9 on the East Coast. Join us in this live webinar where you can ask questions, and we'll be discussing this issue of a convention of states. You can find out more information right now, and you can register for the webinar at wallbuilderslive.com.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us, and thanks to Jeff Allen for coming on and sharing as well. David, I had a question for you, actually. You were talking earlier about, it's competition with government, but you remember how we've looked in the past at how prisons that actually come from a spiritual point of view have such a better result and, lower recidivism rate and all those things, and the person's more likely to not end up back in prison because we're, serving not only they're not only serving their time, but we're serving them spiritually, and they're getting touched in the heart as well. I've never seen numbers on this, but I would think it'd be the same way with the homeless. If you're actually doing more than just feeding them, but actually, treating them with respect and all those things.
You're missing the point. This is not about effectiveness or efficiency, because government's not into effectiveness or efficiency. Government is into control. And
they don't care what the result is.
They don't care what the result
is,
because if they did care, they would let people do as many free services as they could to keep government expenses down, to keep government. That's not their interest. Their interest is, we don't want competition. We don't want anybody competing with it. Wait a minute. When did social services become your responsibility? Up until 50 years ago, for the first 300 years of American history, the church and the community was responsible for social services. If there was insurance to be done, people in the community got together and did it. If there was a need to be met, people in the community got together and did it. Not anymore, Bubba. This is all about control. We don't want competition, and we don't want people doing it for free. So we're going to fine you $375 each for doing what you believe Jesus told you to do. You actually created a ministry built on a Bible verse, and we're going to fine you. This is unbelievable, Rick.
And the only people this benefits are government bureaucrats and their job security. It doesn't help the person we're trying to help. It doesn't help society. It doesn't help the culture. It doesn't help the people that actually benefit by being servants and going out and serving and get the emotional benefit of helping other people.
Well,
it's bad for everybody.
Hey, the government service is not going to put an arm around you and hug you and pray with you and say, hey, man, it's really tough. These guys will. And so it's not about serving the homeless. It is about control, and it's about, we don't want competition in government.
What a shame. What a shame. Well, we're glad that Jeff was with us, Jeff Allen was with us, and we appreciate you listening today to WallBuilders Live.
We stand under